Hey, it's Mazzy, and welcome back to the channel. The Zombies, Odyssey, and Oracle, the mono edition that was just released. There's been a lot of anticipation with this release, and it's a result of the artists, the band, getting their masters back, apparently. Now, this is the mono version. I do not have, nor have I ever heard the original mono version of this, the UK mono version. When it finally came out in America, it didn't come out in mono. This was recorded in 67, came out in the UK in 68. CBS, the label at the time, wanted them to go back in the studio on their own dime, apparently, and mix it in stereo. And that's what we got in America, but we almost didn't. But I want to talk about this because ultimately, the bottom line is I'm very disappointed by this release, and it might be my own prejudice of mono and stereo versus stereo in terms of psychedelia around this time. Remember, 67, 68 is that period of time. Even according to the Beatles and George Martin, you haven't heard Sgt. Pepper unless you heard it in mono. Now, in mono, the original UK is a friggin' great rockin' record. I still prefer the stereo, though. I like the soundscapes and the stages and all the stuff going on. But I did compare this to some other versions, and I'm going to talk about that because this is one of those classic records that no one really knew about. And the story goes, it's not even listed in here, but the famous story is Al Cooper got a bunch of promos from the UK when he was doing A&R for Columbia Records. Remember Al Cooper played that great organ bit on Like a Rolling Stone, and then, of course, would become A&R guy for Columbia Records and really kind of put together the Super Session, that unlikely hit record in 1968 as well. What a great record. Well, he gets a pile of records, and he hears this, and of course, Time of the Season did finally become a hit in America. The band had split up by the time this came out, and Al Cooper hears this and goes to Clive Davis, who was the new head of Columbia Records then, having been the head lawyer there, becomes the head. That's another story. You know the story, Clive Davis. If you don't, it's actually a very interesting story. But he decides to put this record out and becomes somewhat of a hit after the band splits up. Now, the band recently got the rights. You could read stories about this. Typical record companies, bands, rights get taken away. They make no money. They don't really make it or break it. But Time of the Season became a hit in America. And finally, the tapes get back to the band. Now, I don't know the actual DNA of this mono version. Again, I never heard a mono version before. And after playing this version, I was disappointed, and I went back and pulled my 3 stereo copies. And to me, the stereo kills it by far, not by a small margin for me. I found this thin and wanting. The bass is okay, but it's not great. Now, it's just so surprising when you think of something recorded at Abbey Road Studios in 1967 that just doesn't sound great. Another record in this kind of category, recorded in Los Angeles, was Love Forever Changes. That record bombed when it came out, and it found an audience decades later and became a cult record. And of course, there's been various issues of that, beautifully recorded, beautifully mastered. That record is a wonderful recording. And it's one of those records, again, a lot of people didn't hear until many years later, and it became this classic record. And it's a really well-recorded record. It's that Paul Rothchild and Bruce Botnick of Elektra Records there. And of course, that has been reissued, everything from MoFi to Rhino to great cuts on that. I only compare that because it's one of those records that got lost somewhat and then became this brilliant, heroic thing. One of the great pop records of all time, definitely. The artwork story is very interesting. The artist who painted this misspelled Odessey, but they just kind of let it go. I think it was too late by the time it came out, and they let it go because of the kind of that psychedelic, the Fillmore Avalon posters of the day, the San Francisco psychedelia or the London psychedelia. But this record is a brilliant record. Obviously, the opening track, Carousel 44, is basically Beach Boys. It sounds like it could have been right off of a Beach Boys record around the time of Good Vibrations. And that beautiful Rose for Emily, a little bit of like their version of a Eleanor Rigby in Colin Blunstone's gorgeous voice and multi-track voice on here. Beechwood Park again. This is somewhat of a concept album, a conceptual album. Now, this again is the new mono version. The version I happen to get is on this blue vinyl. The pressing is okay, not great, a little noisy. I just think that you get the rights back. This should be a premium release. And when I say premium, I'm not saying it has to be a $50, $60, $70 record. I think this was, what is it, a $28 record, $30 record or so. I wish that I would have paid $5 more if they upped the cover. It's a real thin cover. Now, we know in the UK, records in this period had thin covers. That was just the nature of things. But they were laminated. This is kind of a, I hate to say it, it's a cheap-ass cover. The liner notes by David Frick are well written, but they're on the back here, and it kind of wrecks the artwork thing. Now, all the versions I have different backs, and I'll show you those in a little bit. All my other versions, as I said, are stereo, but he talks about the history of the song and everything. But doesn't mention on this the Al Cooper story, but it talks about this mono version, and I'm disappointed with the mono version. I don't think it's great. Now, there is an insert. So you have this insert that shows, I guess this is the tape notes, the tape box notes. And there's some recording credits on here. Talks about the original 1968 album notes. Why don't they just put the album notes literally on the back of the album like the original, recreate the original somewhat, and put the friggin' David friggin' Frick liners on this insert. I mean, they could have redesign this. It's kind of this flimsy thing. It's again, it's okay, but an important record like this, all this press coming out, they're on, television segments on CBS Good Morning about the Zombies coming back while they're in their 80s, and 4 of the 5 members are still alive. I just think this premium record disappoints. And again, the sound is good. It's crisp. It's clear. But there's no balls to this record. Usually a great mono recording gives you that illusion of soundstage, and I'm not getting it here. I think it's just okay. I've heard from others who do have the original mono that the original UK mono is far superior to this. Again, I haven't heard that. But since I got you, let me show you this label. This is the custom label that the band owns. Basically, it is Beechwood Park Records, which is one of the names of the song on here. And there you go there. So nothing special, noisy, pressing somewhat. I don't know. So let's go back. 1974, Epic Records puts out this twofer. Of course, they had a great run of singles. Time of the Season, obviously, She's Not There, Tell Her No. Just great stuff. So side 1 and side 2 of this comp from 1974 has their hit singles. What they did at the time, and I don't think I actually realized it because I never had a copy of Odessey and Oracle from the 1960s. This is the first copy I ever got. The second disc is the entire Odessey and Oracle record. Obviously, this is the stereo version, and it sounds really good. Obviously, all analog. My guess is obviously I'm saying obviously a lot, aren't I? It's a copy tape, I'm sure, because it came to America. This is cut in America. And this sounds fabulous. If you have a chance to get this, this is a more enjoyable listen. There's some fuller bass. It's a richer thing. Now, yes, there is some of those right vocals on the right track sometimes, especially, again, on that opening song. But that's what stereo's about, and that's what psychedelic pop stereo is about. A little sunshine pop-ish at times, but just gorgeous. A wonderful soundscape, wonderful soundstage to this album for a stereo record. So this is someone you can pick up, I think, fairly cheap in the States. Again, it was on Epic Record, and this is the twofer. This is Time of the Zombies, obviously named after Time of the Season. That great song. She's Not There. Didn't Santana had a hit of that in the 70s as well. Now, this is the other version I have. I picked this up, I don't know, 20 years ago or so. This is supposedly a 30th anniversary edition. This is a UK, supposedly, according to Discogs, this is from the master tapes. Now, I haven't confirmed that anywhere else. Discog never lies. This is on Big Beat Records. I believe this is a division of Ace. Now, this has the original, I guess, 1968 liner notes, argent here. This pressed and printed in the UK. This does have a thin cover, but it's a much better cover. In this case, they have their own version of that Columbia, actually CBS label in UK was always orange. So this is Big Beat Records. Again, I think it's Ace. Do a lot of reissues, reissue series. Again, this is stereo, and this actually sounds really good as well. I give the edge to that Zombies, the American, even though this is probably at least one generation better, but I don't know that. Again, I don't know the DNA on these, but they keep changing the back. Now, why didn't they put the same back cover? If you're going to want something to be classic, to be like an issue of a album that's so important, here is that version from the 30th anniversary, and here is this version. Now, the same image, but they have the David Frick liner notes here. I don't think that works. In terms of the cover, the new one is more washed out. I don't have, again, original. This is a deeper, look how psychedelic and deep that is. This is washed out here, but, you know, so be it. I don't know, I know, but stereo, this works better in stereo. So this is the Big Beat, 1997, I believe it came out. So, what, a year shy of its 30th anniversary. And it sounds excellent, sounds excellent. Now, there is a note that I noticed in Discogs, and I listened to it. The song on here, This Will Be Our Year, that's the only song on the stereo version. They take the mono version. The mono version has horns, and that was added here. I don't know the whole story about that, so if you know it, you want to put it in the comments below. If you want to be long-winded and tell me that, I'm sure I could find out online, but that's the only track on here. Apparently, there was a hype sticker on at least one version of this that tells you that that was the mono version of that one sole track. But again, I still enjoy that more than the mono version. And lastly, this is the Zombies box. I think this came out around 2020. I think it's dated 2019. It came out 2020, and this is basically collects all their albums for the first time, including a bonus disc of things. I got this at a Beatle Fest in the East Coast the day after the Zombies were inducted into the Hall of Fame in New York City. And they came to the Beatle Fest, and I got this. This is a signed copy by the 4 remaining members. So I got this signed of everyone in the band. This says, for the first time, the essential studio recordings of British legendary Zombies all assembled in one place. It includes their 2 original U.S. albums, She's Not There, Tell Her No, and Odessey and Oracle. That's all they put out in the U.S. There's 2 important compilations and a bespoke collection of rare singles and UK-only tracks. This is the most comprehensive vinyl collection ever assembled. And the band obviously authorized this. Now, this is from that label, Verisay Vintage, which is the Verisay Sararambi. Can't even pronounce it. They do a lot of reissues, a lot of soundtracks. Here is the back of the box. Obviously, there is the front with that autographed sound of the Zombies. So on this, you have, this is the first album. This is the album that came out in the States. She's Not There, Tell Her No. Has the hits of that time. Those were big hits when I was a kid. It has extras and outtakes. It has the Zombies. I believe these are UK cuts. This was possibly a British release. I'd never seen this before. It has the Zombies, Rest in Peace. Again, these are a collection, I guess, of alternate things recorded. I don't know. This is, again, a comp, an extra comp. You know, they, for such a great band, it's really unfortunate they didn't continue, and they got a truncated life, you know, never fulfilled their potential, in my opinion. Colin Blunstone did a wonderful Rod Argent produced solo album in the 1970s, which is deliciously wonderful. But then here is the one that comes in this. Now, heavier cover. This label did a great job considering it's not as bright, not as intense as the last one here, as you can see. It's more like the new one, so maybe the original had more of a faded effect. Again, I don't know on this. It has, this case, the one in the box that has the Al Cooper liner notes, which is kind of cool, tells that story. So if you're going to change, I think this is much better than the whole David Frick, like shoving that type on here, that whole story. This has, you know, black with polyline sleeves. Now, going back to the new mono one, it doesn't even have a polyline sleeve. I changed out the sleeve. It comes in a paper sleeve. I'm not usually a stickler for that. I can put my own friggin' sleeve on, but this should have been special. It's been hyped for the last several months. It should have been special, and unfortunately, it's not. Now, I did listen to this as well. This is a stereo. This sounds excellent. Now, again, I don't know the DNA for this. I assume it's from a copy tape. I don't know, but it's the same thing. That one track is the mono track on here. So it's all stereo mono. I think this record, hands down, is a better stereo record. So I would hope that if the Zombies have these tapes now and are in possession of them, they do a premium release of this on stereo. Again, I'm not talking about a $100 record. I mean, they could do like the Kraft covers. I mean, all these jazz records are $35 to $40 tops, and they're beautifully packaged, great thick cover stock, beautifully pressed, beautifully printed. They sound great. They're not as noisy as that. You know, I hope you have better results. Maybe your copy is a lot quieter. Maybe you like the sound better than stereo, and it is subject to people's personal taste, their ears, their room, their setup. Now, I'm listening to these on my new set, or new to me, a used set of Spender A7.2 speakers that have a very rich sound. And when I put the stereo record on after this mono, it just had more depth to it, a wider soundstage, obviously, more bass. One of them, I think maybe this one had a little heavy on the bass, not overly heavy, but again, I'd say that twofer is the best bang for your buck, probably, although it's unfortunate it doesn't have this cover there. So that's my Zombies take on Odessey and Oracle, a true classic of an album. And just surprisingly that even the stereo, as great as it sounds, it seems to me that it should have sounded better coming from Abbey Road Studios from 1967, 68. But what do I know, right? I'm just telling you what I hear. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Mazzy loves you.